The return once again from international break. Some sides intending to make a statement, but for fantasy managers, could this be the projected road to glory? Welcome yet again to another episode of the FPL Addicts podcast, this time for Gameweek 8. And with so much we've already learned within the first 7 game weeks of the season. But more importantly, myself and the queue, here we go. Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you may be tuning into this beloved FPL Addicts podcast of yours. Welcome to the Gameweek 8 edition. And more importantly, we're finally coming off an international break, which if you're from the Northern Hemisphere perspective, it has been full of drama. But for us, I mean, we only just beat China, I think it was. But without further ado, let's go straight and introduce the usual crew. And tonight, I'm joined by, if I'm the answer, he's a Q involved, and that is Quentin. Quentin, good evening to you. Happy Friday. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Just relaxing in my library that smells of rich mahogany. So, yeah, just a nice chilled night, mate.
Since when did Hogwarts produce a bad smell?
Actually, it's the meeting room for Ten Hag's meeting later in the week to see if he's still got a job. So,
I won't lie, it's been a very intriguing start to the season, hasn't it? In the Premier League foretell, and for Man United having won the FA Cup last season, to an extent, off to a shaky start. What's your take on it?
I don't know. They've not been great, but they've also showed patches that once they get all their players back, they might be all right. It's frustrating, but also I've seen signs that there might be signs of life. But I think disappointing all round when considering you look at Newcastle, they're sitting in 7th, and I feel like Newcastle have been pretty horrible this season, and that just shows how bad United's been pretty much if Newcastle are currently above them on the table. So, yeah, quite disappointing in FPL assets. Like, there's so much potential there, great prices, but just there's no points at the moment. So, yeah. But their fixture run does start soon, so it'll be interesting.
You're talking about signs of life, and we'll go straight to your side and see how many signs of life it does incorporate, and that is this one with 57 points. Talk us through your team.
Yeah, so I got Martinez in, I think it was week 3 on wildcard for Onana, and I've been waiting for a clean sheet or save points, and this week it finally delivered. So I'd like to say that he was due, and it ended up happening. So hopefully that's the start of something. Can I start getting some save points till I move him out? But yeah, and good week from Martinez. Alexander-Arnold, 8 points. You know, I'll take the clean sheet every day of the week. Disappointing of Arsenal, conceded goals, so we didn't get the clean sheet there. But I was happy with Diego Jota because I was tempted to get him out with obviously people moving on from him, and Diaz was sort of the hot pick at Liverpool. But, you know, I didn't really need to make it a transfer. I wanted to bank another one, so I kept him in, and yeah, I got rewarded with 2 returns from him. And Saka, I was pretty close to captaining him, but at the last minute, I kind of just had a picture of Haaland scoring another hat-trick, so I decided not to. And yeah, I was a bit disappointed to see Saka scoring so well, and I didn't have the captaincy on him, but, you know, still got his points. And yeah, that's the most exciting part of my team this week. And yeah, I feel like I've been trending in the right direction the last few weeks. I sort of, I think it was 2.1 mil, I think, maybe week 3, and now I'm sitting at about 330k. So, you know, I'm trending in the right direction, and hopefully, you know, this week's just another good week on top of the last couple of game weeks.
Well, and fair play to you. It's a great start to you for the season. I'm convinced last season was just a gap year for you.
Yeah, we'll say that. Sounds good enough.
Yeah, well, I think it was intriguing in terms of seeing a lot of managers vice captain Saka and captain Haaland. What was the consensus made in terms of a lot of people putting the armband on Haaland despite having blanked a week before and probably Saka arguably being the more consistent?
Yeah, it was crazy because yes, Haaland's blanked, but Newcastle's defense has been horrible all season, and for once they actually turned up and looked like the Newcastle that was a valuable defense to target in FPL last season. So yeah, it was frustrating because of course they had to turn up when you really wanted Haaland to bag some goals, and he did come close a couple of times, but yeah, it was pretty disappointing to be honest. But yeah, I think that this comes down to Newcastle turned up and yeah, did a good job defending him.
That's correct. And just a quick look on the public league. So we've got Seamus Gray, who's currently leading by 10 points. Fair play to him. But Sonia Cunha. Matthias Cunha scored a hat-trick once upon a time away at Stamford Bridge. But Sonia herself scored a whopping 81 points last week and skyrocketed away to second. So fantastic stuff in that instance. And Quentin, within the first 7 game weeks of the season, what are some aspects? And I'm more than happy to name just one. What surprised you the most?
Actually, we were talking about this on our pod last night. This season, there doesn't seem to be a template, like just one template. There seems to be 5 different strategies in terms of team setup that's actually getting you good results. So for once, we're actually getting a variety in players returning, and you're not seeing the same team every week that's doing well. You're seeing multiple angles to get points, which I feel like is really good for FPL this season because you don't have to feel like you need to stick to template. You can kind of do your own thing and obviously pick some of the template players, but you can kind of get a variety of plays and you're not actually getting punished. You're getting rewarded for taking those risks. So that's probably the biggest surprise I've seen this season is there's not just one template team. You can literally attack it different ways. I think on our podcast last night, we're talking about how me, Damo, and Simon all had different strategies and we're all sitting around the same rank. So that just goes to show you can, do your own thing, but also still, climb up the ranks and do not too bad.
Yeah, that's fair. No, I think that's a reasonable take on that perspective as well. On to the Women's League very quickly. With this league having already started Gameweek 2, we've got Anne, who's currently leading by 3 points, but with the top 4 managers only being separated by 7 points indeed. Got to keep up that perseverance. If anything, Quentin, now you're talking about how refreshing the international break has been. Is it good to finally have football back, or are you still sort of in that mode where you probably could do with more time off?
No, I think the just the small break was good. At first I was frustrated because you get what was it 2 weeks back into the FPL season, and then it was another international break. So it felt like I really wanted to just keep watching Premier League football, but actually it was nice to kind of just tune out, watched the Socceroos games over the break as well. But my young fella had surgery, so I was just sort of kicking back and playing the new FIFA with him. So it was nice just to relax and not sort of think about deadlines and making transfers and stuff. But I'm excited for it to be back. I'm pretty pumped.
I love that. I think that's fantastic. Off to the Addicts League now. Now, Jack's the last. We won't go there, and we'll probably just go up to me because why not? Right. So, 53 points. Only a couple of weeks newborn into the wild card team in Bermo with a goal. Did the similar with Saka and Haaland. Solanke, I kind of forgot. Yeah, he got an assist. But once again, it's just a second or third week in a row where I've just had returns on the bench. I think that might be a big issue during the course of this season. I don't see it being a high rank than last season. But I'll be fortunate with a top million finish, if anything. It's sometimes you get these players with similar price and you don't really know who you're going to field each week. Alexander-Arnold did the job with 2 bonus and a clean sheet, but outside of that, there wasn't really much to it. Not much stripes about it, but a lot more types of it. Yeah. It wasn't that fashionable. Let's face it.
Do you think with Solanke, do you think he is the best either instead of Watkins or the best third striker option and downgrading in your midfield to fit him in?
It's funny about the downgrade midfield option. I believe he's probably suitable as a second striker option, but I think Watkins and Solanke are probably on the same page at the moment. Because there's a lot of still decent third striker options. You've got Delap from Ipswich. You've got Wood from Nottingham Forest. That's probably the best two at the moment that I could name of. So I think there's value everywhere. But I also agree with your point how there's 5 different strategies this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all on that side. Let's just hope for better. I feel that there's probably a good run on the horizon. It's probably got to happen quicker than it really needs to now. It's important to stay maybe patient, but also to try and attack it and be spatially aware in terms of what's going on. Sorry.
All it takes is a haul from Solanke this week, and there'll be people trying to, get him in. So
yeah, and probably pitch invade Hotspur Stadium as well on Saturday. Because they'll all want his autograph. Rev, very quickly, who's often not a bad start to the campaign, 2.2 million, 69 points. A cheeky assist from Rico Lewis and a 3-2 home win. Alexander Arnold. Madison's been a fantastic pick for him. He scored a goal away at Brighton yet again, and he did very well away at Old Trafford too just recently. Maximum bonus on that front. And then he's got Kyle Havertz too with a goal and 2 bonus points. So great stuff from Rev. Probably been more proactive than he usually has been in previous seasons. He'll hate me saying that, but it is also a compliment. Don't be silly. Chris Reed, 330k, pretty much similar mark as you, Quentin. Had Lewis, Mbumo, Saka, Havertz, and that's about it for now. But he's not really missing out on points that much. Martinez in between the 6 and 9, same as you. So that's kind of about it in terms of our addicts perspective. If anything, Q, just before I load the fixtures up, how do you reckon the promoted sides have go within the first 7 weeks of the campaign? Because I feel Ipswich have given it a crack, but they're not getting as much points as they should.
Ipswich, I feel like, are probably being the most impressive. Leicester are very hot and cold. One game they look really good. Next game they look absolutely woeful. They have some exciting players. Bonanotte has looked really good the last few game weeks. But yeah, I think Ipswich for me is probably the pick. And Southampton, I feel like they're just, they're there just to enjoy the experience. But we all know they'll be exiting the theme park, collecting something from the gift shop, and they'll be on their way home soon. So I feel like they're just here to look around and wait it out to the end of the season, and they'll be back in the championship next year because, Dibling's probably the only shining light from Southampton, and even then, he's not sort of giving them enough that's making me think they might survive.
That's a cracking analogy. I got caught up by what you said there instead of the actual football club.
I think, what did I say on our podcast last night with Dibling? It's like when you're in a town of 2,000 people and the only takeaway restaurant's Macca's. Everyone's excited it's Macca's, but, they're excited, just like Southampton are excited to have Mr. Dibble there, but it's not that exciting if you're looking at it from that side of things. But, Dr. Dibble is probably the only shining light from Southampton.
Sometimes I just have to just let this stream run for a couple of seconds and go in full admiring mode on how you come up with such fantastic beautiness out of your mouth. I think it's astonishing. Astonishing. Could we say the same about the fixtures? Maybe the early kickoff at Toilet Seat Stadium. I mean, North London, of course, in Hotspur. Spurs, West Ham, and then you got the others there. Now, Quentin, as usual, I know people like to pick 4 fixtures, and although Rev loves to point out the first 8 fixtures of Sam Johnson from Crystal Palace are like at the very start of last season, but the policy, 1 fixture to stand out. What is it for you?
It was the Ipswich and Everton fixture. I actually think low key it's going to be a very attacking game, and I reckon we could see a lot of goals in that fixture. And for me, I've got Sexy Legs, Delap, and McNeil in my side. So, I'm pretty excited to see because I think they're going to get returns. I could definitely see McNeil getting multiple returns. So that's probably one fixture that I'm liking the look of this week.
I love it. It's top stuff. For me, well, there's a couple of good ones. I know Forest will be big on the back end, and Liverpool, Chelsea's its usual, City, as per always. But of all games, I'm going Tottenham, West Ham. I feel that usually has something involved. I think Spurs are going to concede because they're under Postecoglou. He's very pragmatic in his approach. As Spurs assets are becoming a bit more relevant. But also, if you have West Ham attackers, they could flourish pretty well in this fixture. So I'm going for the early kickoff.
Yep. No, I like it. And I think also the United game, just more from a future aspect and looking at different assets. Like if United come out and beat the brakes off Brentford and Bruno, Rashford, Garnacho all look good, I feel like that could be a bit of interest.
Yeah, for sure. Before we get to the transfer trends, we've got to say hello to everyone as per usual. Gary, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed your international break. Addicts Assemble. Look, it's only one member here, but we've also got Q, our super sub. And Q, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate you saying yes most of the time. So thank you for coming on once again. Colm, I suppose Rev must be off listening to read his confessions. And to be honest, he's got a lot of confessions that big fella has to make half the time. You've commented yourself, which is incredible multitasking, let's face it. And that's kind of about it at the moment.
Did you see what Colm wrote in reply to my food analogy?
Not this one, is it?
No.
Okay. Meat shield needs to be better. Vegan meat. Jimenez is saying, oh, yeah, I've got you. It feels like a last sausage. Jeez. Oh. If you're a Brit, you know the term, but if you're an Aussie, you got to go to the UK and try out a Greggs sausage roll. Have you tried a Greggs sausage roll?
I haven't tried one, but I've there used to be a TikToker that I used to follow when he used to do TikToks about they call it the UK experiences. And it was a Greggs sausage roll was one of the experiences.
So you used to follow him, but now you've unfollowed him?
No, I don't even know. It's lost in the algorithm.
Okay, so it doesn't display on your FYP page on TikTok. I don't blame you. Fair enough.
No, it was just experiences in England to try, and it was trying a Greggs sausage roll.
Okay. Yeah, right. Speaking of the UK now, I don't usually go for big reveals. Now, I know I messaged to Quentin, he ignored it. And to be honest, rightly so, it's not actually that relevant. But for those in the UK, I've got some big news to announce before we get to the transfers. And that is this morning. I'm off to Fulham Brighton, 5th of December, Thursday, 7:45 at Craven Cottage, making it the 5th Premier League stadium visited, the second Brighton away day, which will probably win by 3 goals, and the first visit to the Cheeseboard Stadium in West London. Let's face it, Fulham fans, they're full of just prized assets. So that's all I'm going to say on that front.
Mate, you need to give Jimenez a kiss on the cheek for me, mate.
Honestly, I reckon head brace Jimenez is going to get the start.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, mate. If you're on the bench, just give him a kiss for us. Let him know that I appreciated him last season.
Honestly, I'm just there for Adama Traore's oiled arms.
Mate, that's an experience in itself. That's better than Greggs sausage rolls, for sure.
I still go over that time where Wolves won 2-0 at the Etihad and no Man City defender could catch him because all his arms were oiled and he was just running through on goal with Jimenez.
Mate, he's on another planet, that bloke. He's not even human.
Yeah, he is. No, I think you're absolutely spot on.
He's built like a rock and sock'em robot.
Oh, mate, yeah, tell me about it. It's crazy. That's right. Speaking of transfers, we've got a bit to fiddle out. So out this week, Jackson, he's moonwalked his way up the pile, and Salah, Manzarawi from Man United, João Pedro, and Luis Diaz. It seems the game week 4 most transferred in and now turned into the game week 8 most transferred out. Any surprises on this list for you, Q?
I was going to say Maserati was a surprise, but it looks like he's red flag, so that makes sense. No, I think that's pretty. It's Salah. A lot of people are moving on from Salah and either getting in Haaland or looking at going like a Palmer Saka double up in the middle there. So that makes sense. But yeah, Jackson. I feel like Jackson you could probably still keep. Obviously, this week harder against Liverpool, but got United, Newcastle
Those
coming up, then Leicester.
Are really, really good.
Yeah, and I could see Liverpool conceding this week against Chelsea.
Yeah, I could. I haven't been that great defensively.
Yeah. So, but I guess they're probably moving to Solanke. I'd say there'd be moves to Solanke or maybe Watkins if they don't have Watkins. But yeah, I'd think that's probably the moves they're doing.
Yeah. Top transfers in this game week, and it's kind of a rarity. Every single one of them are midfielders. Any surprises on this? I think McNeil was really skyrocketed.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. I think everyone keep getting McNeil because I got him at the basement price that he was at the start of the season. So yeah, no, it's no surprise. Johnson, he's 7 goals, 7 games now. He scored on international break for Wales. McNeil, I feel like been pretty solid. I think consistently he's getting at least 1 to 2 big chances a game, and he's creating 1 to 2 big chances a game. So there's a lot of there's like a good floor for him to be scoring points, and their fixtures are pretty decent. Saka, I feel like some people are actually looking at getting him back out after this week. So I don't know, it's strange. I think he's too good not to have. Palmer, is that Palmer the bottom one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, 50-50 on Palmer. He's had that big explosive game, but I wouldn't say he's been dominating for Chelsea this season. I feel like he's had a couple of good games, but nothing not like Saka. Saka's been consistently every week.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I can't believe it's really Brendan Johnson's time at Tottenham. He's really revolutionised himself, and I am quite happy for him having deleted social media, and then as soon as that goes on, he somehow is on crack every game.
Yeah, I love him. When Spurs signed him last year, I was over the moon because I loved him when he was at Nottingham Forest. So
yeah,
and I had him a couple of times last season. I really enjoy him as a player. I think he's got really good football IQ. He's not going to be taking on plays all the time, but he's going to be making those runs and being in the right place at the right time for tap-in. So I think there's a lot to like.
That's right. Yeah, great way to put it on that front. Q, in terms of discussion points, you had a certain formula you wanted to share.
Yeah, so the start of the season, I decided to come up with a formula taking, attacking stats and giving them a value depending on their position. So obviously goals are worth more for defenders and stuff like that. So it gives me an average number by the games that they've played, and to give me sort of like a figure that, the higher the number is, the more attacking upside. So I actually went through and did, some of the top assets from all of the teams in the Premier League. The only team that didn't really have an asset was Southampton, just because I had a look and it just wasn't worth adding the numbers up because they haven't done too much. But, some of the surprising ones was actually probably Bowen, because he finished with an attacking upside number of 5.10, which if you're looking at some of the players that I did, he had more attacking upside than Jackson from Chelsea, who this season's had a lot of decent returns. He's not too far off Haaland, who finished on 6.64 after the first 7 game weeks this season, and we've seen how many points he scored. So I feel like Bowen's one of those ones that are trending up. He's just not getting the consistent returns yet, but their fixture run just starts soon. So a couple of players like that. Brennan Johnson, he's been pretty good. He was on 4.64 for his attacking upside. So yeah, I feel like I've done a bit of a look back on what assets we sort of brought up in our podcast using this formula, and we're actually been quite successful in the plays that we've been suggesting. Have them been going on runs with their attacking upside number, they then spent the next 2 weeks getting returns. So I think there's a bit of method to the madness.
I think that's a great way to put it. And speaking of M's, I believe budget midfielders have played a big role in the season, especially seeing the emergence of not just Mbeumo, but Semenyo and Brennan Johnson. Has that changed your way of thinking in terms of making transfers these days and just sort of being set and forget in different positions?
Yeah, I think we've seen probably the price increases have probably been a bit more aggressive this year than they were last year, which is probably forcing people to make early moves. And you're seeing all these, budget picks, or not budget picks, but people like Brennan Johnson who's gone up 0.3. You've had McNeil who's gone up 0.3. They're good price points, but then they get into a point where they're almost getting to a awkward price where you're kind of like, is it still worth getting them in? But yeah, I feel like this season there's a good variety of these picks between the 5.5 to 6 million, I think. And, Semenyo's had a couple of good games. And we're going to find more picks in the next coming game weeks. Wolves fixture swing. You've got West Ham's fixture swing. You've got United's fixture swing. So I feel like there's going to be an opportunity to get on some of these cheaper assets and, hopefully getting on at the right time so then you can get the purple patch of points that'll be coming up.
Yeah, that's fair. I like it. How do you rate the defensive solidity across the certain sides this season? Because we've seen Forest have been pretty good in terms of our assets, but the ones that from certain sides in which we should have a good amount of faith in, they haven't really delivered as much.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think my way of thinking this season is not picking defenders just for their team. I'm picking attacking fullbacks because outside of Arsenal and the odd clean sheet from Liverpool, there's no clean sheets this season. So I feel like you need to try find defenders with higher floors. So the potential for attacking returns. So the likes of Poro, Anthony Robertson, seen Calafiori's had a couple of good games. I think he's had 1 or 2 returns. So I think you need to be kind of looking at it from, Arsenal defenders are great, but when you saw last week they conceded, you got 2 points. But if you're looking at people like Poro, Trent Alexander-Arnold, yes, they concede, but they're also in the box, getting touches in the box, shots, getting chances created. So I feel like this season we're kind of, I feel like we need to be looking more at the attacking upside fullbacks instead of teams in general.
Yeah, that's fair. And in your eyes these days, which sides have a good run of fixtures coming up? Because that seems to be an aspect that a lot of managers want to target.
I feel like Arsenal have got a good fixture this week. Then they've got 2 harder fixtures, but then they go into some all right fixtures again. So I feel like just being patient with your Arsenal assets. If you've got 2 or 3, I still think you play Saka every single week. He can score pretty much against anyone. But I think United, their fixture swings coming up. Ipswich still have good fixtures. Everton have good fixtures. Wolves, I think after week 9, their fixture run starts as well. So depending on whether you want to go at Johnston in goals, Aiton Nori, you've got Cunha, Larson. There's a few options there. But I think City's looking at the other City assets like Bernardo Silva doing the attacking upside formula. He's been the second best performing attacking option at City in terms of attacking upside. So, Foden's back into the fold now, so he's definitely worth looking at. He's had a couple of price drops. KDB will be back soon. So I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a change, but I still think you're going to want to look at sort of these enablers as well. The likes of McNeil still got good fixtures. Delap from Ipswich, I feel like he's good value for what his price is up top there. So yeah, I think it's being flexible, banking transfers when you can, and then sort of trying to maximize these fixture swings that are coming up sort of after week 9, week 10.
I think that's a great point, especially how important the third striker slot can be this season, because we saw 3 seasons ago, especially when Watford were in the Premier League, it seems that third striker slot was made redundant. But this year, there seems to be an importance. And Chris, yeah, look, thanks, mate. You're absolutely spot on. This is a nice bike. It's a Swift TT bike. And in case you want to know, I've got an Ironman in 4 weeks. So busy prep time indeed. About as busy prep as Quentin reading the remaining of his Hogwarts books from his own library. Come on, mate. I know you're only up to the Chamber of Secrets in a short instance of time. That's how we roll sometimes. Yeah. Before we go into our Gameweek 8 teams, because I don't believe I've missed out on much, was there any other talking points that were burning in your mind, Q?
Who would your defender picks be? Because I'm looking at like Flecken's for me probably the standout pick to move to, averaging 3.4 saves a game.
Yeah, it's funny you
all
ask
right
that because I
fixtures.
actually got him.
Yeah.
Along with now I don't mean to be a hole, but I'll reveal my defenders when I do my team selection. Is that all right with you?
Yep.
Yeah, cool, nice. Definitely not Chelsea defenders. I'll give you that. Man City, they don't seem to keep a clean sheet these days. Arsenal, they haven't been great recently, but they're still profound to be quite reliable. And Liverpool, I believe, there's more upside in them in recent times than there probably was in the past. Is that a good way to
Sorry,
put
what
it?
was that?
Liverpool probably got more upside in recent times.
Yeah, I think I'm in a tricky position because I've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, and obviously he's worth a lot of money. You can downgrade to Vardiol to get some money in the bank, but he's just looked so good, and consistently Liverpool this season have been really good in attack, and Trent's been a big part of that. So yeah, I think that Salah's gonna. I don't think you're going to get Salah out for too long. I think people are going to be scrambling to get him back in when their fixtures turn again. But yeah, for me, I feel like if you're going away from Liverpool, you want at least Trent because you're sort of getting the best of both worlds, the clean sheet potential, but also you're getting an attacker as well in the same player. So yeah, it's a tricky spot, but I think for me, Trent's almost a season keeper.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that, to be honest. I know he's had some bad games, but he's playing in one of the more solidified, systematic sides in the league. Like, they just seem to know what they're doing under Arne Slot. And
Yeah, they've actually surprised me a lot how quickly they've adjusted to the way he wants them to play, and I'd say they've dominated 80% of their games so far this season.
That's it. No, you're spot on. Q, anything else? And you can say about 3 more topics if you want.
Is Haaland away in the best captaincy option this week, or is there an argument to look at Saka?
We'll get on to Captain Corners later, but I will answer your question. I believe based on the statistical front, it's more favourable for Haaland. Saka, there's more case, but I believe Bournemouth are playing better these days than they probably were a couple seasons ago, around this time every season.
Yeah, it's
and it's not usually Saka's type of game to shine. It's more of an Odegaard or Martinelli sort of type, or Trossard.
Yeah, it's because I think I'm set on Haaland, but there's just a part of me that could see this Bournemouth Arsenal.
Yeah.
This could open them up to conceding a few goals, and I feel like Saka could very much be involved in everything that they do. So there's a part of me that thinks that Wolves could maybe be a bit stubborn. Could be a Foden returns, maybe a Haaland one return, and we might look at the Arsenal game and see Saka with multiple returns.
I just believe that what is presented in front of us, it's Haaland's go for glory. That's how I see it. Yeah.
What do you think the best strategy is with looking at using a second wild card, are you going to go into the Christmas break and try bank as many transfers as possible and then doing like a mini wild card, or are you kind of just going to play aggressive up until Christmas and then if it doesn't work out, do the wild card straight after it's available?
Good question. And taking into account how less of a double game weeks we got, it's probably best to bank it until around that period, depending on if anything changes all of a sudden. I think banking the transfers in the lead up to Christmas is going to be important because during Christmas, we did notice last year a lot of managers do tend to use their transfers pretty quickly as a result of injuries popping up and rotations and managers getting impatient.
Yep.
Yeah, I think banking the transfer, and you got 5 as well. You can bank up to 5. That can be handy during such a tightrope period where there's just game week after game week.
Yep. If you're looking at City assets, who would be your second attacking option? Would you be taking the risk on Foden or going Silva, or would you be just going Vardiel at the back there with Haaland?
What's happened to De Bruyne?
See, I don't know whether he's back. He's not fully fit yet.
Because he had a really good start to the season. So I would have gone for him, to be fair. I don't think Savinho. I don't think Grealish. I don't think any of their wingers, to be fair. Not even Jeremy Doku. Foden, yes, he's world class, but it's more of a wait and see. So outside of that, yeah, probably go down back.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it yesterday, and looking at Bernardo Silva, his numbers in terms of attacking chances and touches in attacking areas has looked really good, but he hasn't had many returns this season. So I was kind of looking at it. Would you rather take the risk, or are you happy just to go like a Vardiel at the back?
Yeah. Probably go Vardiel at the back just for a safety blanket and then work it out from there, because I think it's going to be a lot of rotation during Christmas, but I believe that Pep is going to play Phil Foden every game. For some reason, Pep has entrusted enough installment into that guy. And probably Haaland too, but he needs to get subbed off early.
What was it last season? We kind of had the 50-50 whether Foden will start or won't start, and then he just went on to start every single game. So maybe we're getting to that point now that the season's sort of, heading into game week 8 where Pep might actually just start playing him every week.
Yeah, it could be that, but it seems that players who tend to start every game during the festive period, this is a strange part because they don't actually get their break during January, but they'll still play. I think it's at the end of the season because do you remember Newcastle's Anthony Gordon who just played every single game and then he got burnt out by the end of the season?
Well, I remember last season with Saka, how many injuries did he have week after week? And Arteta's like, I'm not sure if he'll play, and then he's still playing. I'm like, I'm pretty sure at this stage, if he's got 2 legs still, Arteta's going to play him.
Yeah, that's a funny part. And Saka was very fortunate on that front too.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bit going on, but outside of that, that's kind of about it. Quentin, are you ready to show your bus side for Gameweek 8, or is there anything else that I may have missed?
No, I'm happy to get into my side. My side's locked in, so the only thing that's
your side is locked in. I love your confidence. Let's put it that way. We're just about to put it on the launch pad as well. And it's exciting times. Now, is this going to be a platform for you this season where you're going to launch it from 330K to maybe 33K? Because you are the absolute government, but this is your side. Talk us through it.
So I had 2 transfers to use this week. I decided to take a -4 just because the plays that I wanted in, I had the perfect amount of money for. And if I had waited any more time, I would have been priced out. So I ended up going Diego Jota to Brennan Johnson. I went Semenyo to Bowen. And then I went Pedro up top to Delap. So I did all this pretty much after the last game kicked off in game week 7. So I got on early, so I got a few price rises, but I kind of looked at it. Delap, I'm going to play him in good fixtures, but, having him on the bench most weeks is probably where he's going to be. But I feel like he's a really good first bench option if I'm not going to play him. And, I took Rodgers out this week to start Delap. So I'm pretty confident going forward. Bowen, I feel like a harder fixture this week against Tottenham, but I feel like all it's going to take is him to score a goal this week, and we might see his price moving next week with their fixtures coming up. And, Johnson, for me, I really like him as a player. At his price, I feel like he's still pretty good value there. So just because he's had a couple of price rises, I wouldn't be sort of too worried about that. I still think he's primed for the picking. And, McNeil, he's just, I don't sort of have high expectations, but I definitely think you can get the odd return. And this week is a really good fixture. It's sort of one fixture I had penciled in since I got him in. So I'm pretty happy about that. And defenders, like I said, you're not really banking on clean sheets, to be honest. And that's why I still have Pedro Porro, still have Trent Alexander-Arnold. Gabriel's more clean sheet with the odd goal maybe, but I've still got Anthony Robertson on the bench as well. So I'm sort of sticking with the attacking fullbacks, and, Watkins will be there for the time being, but definitely if Solanke catches fire, that might be a move I might look at a bit later on. But, I'm pretty happy at the moment with how my side's set up.
Honestly, mate, I'm in absolute awe of what you do, and I feel very inspired by it.
I reckon you might be inspired enough to follow me in the transfers, mate.
Yeah, we'll see. But I don't have a lot of legs to laps on your own laps, mate, so I probably won't go down that direction. But I've got a bit of wood. Anyways, I shouldn't have said that, but I've got Chris Wood in my side, and you'll have a look at it shortly. Quentin, once again, thank you very much. And that is quite as attractive as Ange Postecoglou staring at the floor, but as someone that replied in the Twitter comments, I'm convinced that was a picture of just Sydney Sweeney that Ange was staring at. Because that's all he really stared at the whole time. It was just a goddamn floor. But on the verge now, I just want to warn you, we've got a lot of transfers we can play with. 4 free transfers, and I will be dead ass honest with you, we've not made a single one. So I'm looking forward to your suggestions, Q. Audience, and according to our math, to 6 people who are watching, I would really appreciate your input as well. We are about to launch it, and I had to refresh it just in case I was getting logged out. But here we go as of right now. 4 free transfers, 0.9 in the bank. This is how we do it. Yeah, 3.8 million. Yeah, right. Well, now where do we begin? Can you see the names properly, Q?
No. I can make him out, though. You've got Gabriel, Mikalenko, Greaves, Trent, Aina, Saka, Rogers, Semenyo, and Burmo, Diaz, Solanke, Wood, Haaland. Yeah, nice. And Burmo, that's probably one transfer I kind of prioritised Bowen over. I feel like it could go either way. And Burmo could score a double this week, and Bowen could blank, and it could be very painful. But yeah, I feel like that these are one of those 50-50 decisions. You've gone in Burmo, I've gone Bowen. So yeah, it's one of those hard calls. I feel like Burmo's been very consistent this season, and all he needs is the 62nd man. He's the 62nd man. But I feel like you have some plays in there at decent price points that you can move down to. Luis Diaz, what's he worth now? 8 point.
Well,
see,
he's 8 million.
Him to Johnson.
I was just thinking that, mate. Don't mean to copycat you. I'm on my way somehow. That's going to be one of them. Now, guys, this is live transfers. This is what I did at the back end of last season. So if you're enjoying it, please leave a like. Please leave a subscribe. Or if you're fortunate enough to give it to us, a 5-star rating. But that is one of them. I was thinking of Diaz to Johnson. Now, I'm thinking Semenyo to leave. I don't mean to be stupid, but I really like this guy. I know you've got him, but hey, this guy's been on fire recently. Yeah, I reckon. So I'm just going to roll with it. And I really like his fixtures ahead. Like, that is a cracking fixture list.
Yeah, I like it, mate. I think you should hit the button.
Well, hit the button, deal or no deal, if you ask me. La. So I'm going to do that. And I think outside of that, we're just going to leave it as that. Yeah, we'll just roll with transfers.
Who's your backline going to be this week?
Sorry?
Who's going to be your backline this week? Aina, Trent and Gabriel, or are you going to Mikolenko?
Did think about it, but I thought, nah, keep it 3 because I know I want as many attackers as possible. I think I'm going to play 3 up front, so it's got to be 4. And hang on, is it going to be McNeil?
No, I reckon you'd bench Wood. I think play 5 in the middle, 2 up top, 3 at the back.
It's Wood
versus Rogers for me. Who do you think's gonna have more potential?
Wood or Rogers? Wood is pretty good at home.
Let's get
what's Smith Rowe
suggestions in the chat.
Does Smith Rowe still start? Now, chat, can you post some comments? Is that all right?
We'll go Wood or Rogers in the chat.
Yeah, Wood or Rogers. What's the take on Smith Rowe these days?
I wouldn't. I'd prefer. I like all of your midfielders over what Smith Rowe could offer. I'd go if you're going to Fulham midfield. I'd be going Traore instead, but Jimenez instead of Wood. I actually like Cunha as a bit of an outside pick up top.
Yeah, I do as well, mate. But I only got Wood back last week, so I'm going to give him a couple more cracks, and it's a good home fixture, so it's going to leave it be.
I think you've got 2 weeks till you look at Cunha because they've got City this week. So
yeah, that's fine. Well, I might just if Richie Beno had this team, he'd be very impressed because the budget is 2.2 and the free transfers amount is 2. And playing 3 up top. I hate to break it to you. But we are going to do it. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to what I call an exhibition of live transfers. This is how we do. Yeah, that's how we're going to roll.
I like it, mate.
Yeah. But overall, it'll probably end up on only about 30 points. So, yeah, we move.
We've both benched Rogers this week, mate, so we're in the same boat.
Who do I take out? I can't take out Mbumo, not Johnson, not Saka. It's Wood. It's the only one. Yeah. But I got he haunted me away at Chelsea. Where I just didn't do anything. So,
I think it's Wood or Rogers. I think Rogers and Wood both score very similar this week, so I feel like it's very much a 50-50.
Yeah, hitting the 6 with his 4-3. Yeah, no, that's fair. Outside of that, that's kind of about it on the transfer front. It's about 48 minutes in, and there's one thing left to do. If you don't mind me, Q, we will go onto our beloved captain's corner. And as per usual, we've got a few things to think about. It's Gameweek 8. Start off Haaland away at Wolves, a team who have conceded 5 or more goals already this campaign. Twice. Half the price, twice as nice. Wolves have conceded 21 goals in the league, the most of any side this campaign. Haaland's already scored 10 goals. And funnily enough, the Wolves' first win last season came at home to Man City. Could it be a repeat of what just transpired? Bukayo Saka has shown how consistent he's been with just a solitary blank this season. He's also joined top with Chelsea's Cole Palmer for big chance involvements. All situations being expected to score with 15. And Mohamed Salah at home to Chelsea. He's already had 4 double-digit hauls in his first 7 games, despite how many transfers out he has had. Ollie Watkins, another curveball, it being the top scoring forward in the last 4 game weeks with 32 points. Tottenham's Brendan Johnson, 7 goals in 7 games. Some call him the Messi of Wales. Postecoglou probably calls him the absolute governor. That's it for Captain's Corner, a curveball, a half anticipated one. 3 of the usual suspects. That's all I have to say. And Q, just to double check, is it on the Norwegian or are you going for Spice Man? Be great to hear you one day, mate.
My bad. Yeah, actually, I think this could be the get back for Haaland. He scored on international break, so I feel like he's going to come in, and I could definitely see multiple goals this game week.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think I feel like there was more debate in previous weeks and in captaincy than this week for some reason, but I could be proven heavily wrong because Haaland can unexpectedly blank, and that just kind of changes the minds of where we're at when it comes to players with double points.
See, my theory is that all of his power is in his socks, and because Newcastle ripped his socks, the power escaped, and he was just an ordinary man.
Quentin, you must watch a lot of superpower movies back in your heyday.
I was just trying to make sense of what I was watching. I wasted time that I could have been sleeping to watch him get no goals, so it was great.
That's fair. Before we get to the questions, have you watched any recent episodes of our Postman Pat?
No, have not.
Right.
Can't say I have. Watched a lot of Peppa Pig, though. Good show.
Geez, I got to be a pig in the comments after hearing all of that. Now, speaking about pigs, Rogers and Wood, has this become an OnlyFans stream? I waited until Chaza finished. Well, I hope not, Colm. Let's say that. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say on that front. But I think that's about it for tonight's stream. Quentin, is there anything I may have missed out on your behalf, or any renovations you might do on your Hogwarts library?
No, I think you've covered everything, mate. I feel like this week, with coming off the international break, the sort of everything's kind of, there's not too much to talk about, to be fair. Usually you have a lot of talking points, players performing, not performing, but because it's been a national break, I feel everyone's just ready to kickstart the season again for another 2 weeks, and it's international break again, so can't wait.
Oh, mate, I hate it so much. And just like love, do you reckon a lot of things are up in the air? That was my worst one yet, but I thought I'd say for the taking.
I'll give you a 5 out of 10, mate.
You know, I'll take it at this time of night and just bow out of a podcast on that. Guys, thank you as always for tuning in. It may not have been the most luxurious sort of podcast or most robust, but we certainly had fun and just cut to the chase. Let's say that. Hope all your arrows become green on this occasion. I hope everyone does really well. And outside of that, we'll catch you this time next week as we head onto the horizon for Game Week 9. And that's only 3 more game weeks until the next international break. Let's say that. And clearly, Quentin and I are clearly annoyed by it. Quentin, before I bow out, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. You are the lifesaver.
Nah, as I said, I'm happy to come on whenever you need a guest. And, I was only going to be playing a bit of college football on the PS5, so I wasn't going to be doing anything too entertaining tonight. But yeah, we've got one thing left to add to the podcast. You forgot, Chaz. Would you like me to say it?
Yeah, you can if you want.
Eat shit, Jack.
There you go. Well, for once, it's not come from me. Vol on match day, sorted.